Today I'm going to be cutting the steer tube on this bike. I've got the stem height dialed in where I want it. So we're going to take some measurements and take the fork out and do some cutting. So measuring the steer tube that we've got extending above the stem, we've got 23 millimeters. We also want to measure down to the upper pinch bolt, and we have 27 millimeters. So ideally we'd like to have the steer tube end about 3 millimeters below the top of the stem. So that will give us an extra millimeter so that the upper pinch bolt will still be clamping on the tube. There won't be a gap below the upper pinch bolt. So we're going to take off 26 millimeters. Now we're going to use the same star nut, but we're going to have to drive it down the tube far enough so that we won't cut into it when we cut off the excess tubing, and then we'll set it to the appropriate depth and straight afterwards. So for now we're just going to drive it down far enough to clear the saw. Okay, so we're cutting 26 millimeters off, so we'll just take this down to, I don't know, 28 or 29 millimeters to clear it. A little bit more. That's good. Well, my Sharpie ran out of ink, so just going to have to use a scriber. Carefully measure and mark. Measure twice, cut once. Okay, so I've got it in the guide. Made a little test cut to make sure that we're on the mark. And we are exactly on the mark. Now when you're hacksawing in a cutting guide, it's not that critical that the top of these steer tubes be perfectly straight, because obviously the top cap doesn't contact them, they're down below. But to get a nice straight cut, it's a good idea to put a twist on the blade so that it keeps the cutting edge against the inner side. Now if you're afraid that this is going to break your hacksaw blade, I just got one thing to say to you. You need to buy better blades. Hacksaw blades is one place that is not worth trying to economize on. You'll actually economize by buying the good stuff. This one's got lots of mileage on it. It's a 24 tooth per inch. It's a pretty versatile all-around blade. And I've done lots of steer tubes with this. Some of you are going to cringe when you see me do this, but trust me, it works. Okay, twist on the blade. Firm, even strokes. Clean up the cut end. We'll stick that out through. For the inside of the tube, you want to use a deburring tool. Actually go around the inside, cuts any burrs off. And on the outer side, we're going to go around with a file. Just smooth up the edge a little bit. And we're good. Now we're going to set the star nut. I use the Park star nut setter tool. It just threads into the star nut. And then we Just use a hammer and it sets it to the proper depth and sets it straight. It's down till you're tight. No muss, no fuss. In a shop environment, this setting tool is definitely worth its weight. It saves a lot of time trying to get that thing to the right depth and straight. There we go. All trimmed up. Top cap's in place. And there is clearance between the top cap and the steer tube, so that's what you want. You want the top cap pressing down on the stem, not on the steer tube. So it clamps everything in place. There we go, ready to put the handlebar on and go riding.